Okay, in this lesson we are going to continue to be dividing multi-digit numbers with decimals, and the difference today is that the divisor is also going to be a decimal number as well, and we're going to learn how to handle that situation. So let's take a look at the do now. And there are a couple problems here, so stop the video and do the do now, and then check back and see how you did. So check out these answers. Number 2, the first one was a little bit of a trick. And remember that money always has 2 decimal places. So the answer number 2 was I just had to add a 0 to make it 90 cents to represent $21.90. No rounding was necessary like you needed in the second one. All right. Take a quick look at the homework answers and see if you agree with mine, and then if you don't, go back and check your work and see if you can find where you went wrong. And then here's the second page. Here's page 2. Again, check these answers. You may have to pause the video to look a little more closely at your work and see if you got the same answers. Okay, so let's talk about what we've learned so far. We started off division with simply dividing a multi-digit number by a one-digit divisor. And that was really the easiest case that we dealt with. But then we increased the difficulty a little bit by having a 2-digit divisor, and that's a little harder to do the math with, but you guys were starting to get pretty good at that. And then we added decimals to the situation. And the main thing with the decimals is that when you have a decimal in your divisor, you have to move it up to be outside the divisor, straight up, so that the decimal is reflected correctly in your answer. And if you're also bringing decimals down, you have to do that correctly as well. And we'll be practicing some of that today. Now, the difference today is that we have a decimal in our divisor. And we have a technique to deal with that, and that's going to be what we're going to learn today, and that you'll be practicing as well. Alright, so take a look at this first example of how we do this. We're going to do something called the decimal point slide. And whenever we have a decimal in our divisor, like we do here, we have to slide it to the right. So it's going to end up there. But whatever we do on the outside of the divisor, we also have to do to the dividend. So it also has to slide one place to the right. If you happen to have to slide it over 2 places to the right in the divisor, you also have to slide it 2 in the dividend as well. So whatever you do on the outside, you do on the inside. And then your division problem becomes something like this. So this becomes your new problem, and we have done problems like this before. So let's quickly do this. So 38 does not go into 4, but I have to see if it goes into 47. Of course, it does that one time. Notice the 1 goes above the 7. So I multiply to get 38, and then I subtract. 17 minus 8 is 9. Borrow from the 4. And that's going to be 0. So 38 does not go into 9, so I bring down the 5, and then I have to think about how many times 38 goes into 95. 3 times is too many, I'm pretty sure, so I'm going to try 2. And 2 times 8 is 16, 2 times 3 is 6, and 1 is 7. We're going to subtract. 15 minus 6 is 9. Borrow from that. 8 minus 7 is 1. And that's good. 38 does not go into 19. But we're going to keep bringing down numbers till we get the final answer. This decimal point has to go up, right, from that position. But we're going to add a 0 and bring that down to see if we can get the exact decimal answer. Let's see, 38 into 190. 19 is half of 38, so I'm going to try 5. 5 times 38, 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 3 is 15, and 4 is 19. And we're done. So my final answer is 12.5. But the key point here, of course, is that you're doing the decimal point slide in order to make the problem look like the kind of problems we have been doing. All right, we're going to look at a few examples of this, and I'm going to let you try some problems on your own. All right, so we have this first problem. I've set it up for you. So it's 25.4 divided by 0.2. We have a decimal in there, so we're going to have to do the decimal point slide and bring that over and bring that over. So that's going to give us 2 divided by 254. And let's quickly do that. Again, the decimal point's here and here now. I'm going to bring that up in case we need it. So 2 goes into 2 one time. Subtract. 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring down to 5. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Bring the 1 down. Bring the 4 down. And 2 goes into 14 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. And I don't have a remainder, so I can stop there. So my answer is 127. All right, let's take a look at this next problem. 531 divided by 0.3. I set it up for you. Again, we have a decimal that we have to deal with in the divisor. So I'm going to move that over 1. Now for this one, I have to move it over 1. And there's no digit there, so I'm going to have to put a 0 in its place. So that makes my problem become 3 divided by, 531 with that added 0, so it's really 5,310 divided by 3. All right, let's quickly do that. 3 times 2, oop, that's too much. Let's erase that. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. Bring down the 3. 3 into 23, that's going to be 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract, I have a 2. Bring down the 1. 3 times 7 again is 21. Bring down the 0. I have that extra 0 that I have to deal with, but 3 goes into 0 times, and so I need a 0 in that space. Remember, my decimal point is here and here, so there's my final answer. You don't really need the decimal point there, but it's okay to write it. All right, one more example, and this one's a little different because notice the decimal has 2 digits to the right. So the question is, how do we handle that? And what we do, of course, is we're going to move it 2 places. And we're going to move this 2 places. We're going to have to add a 0 to make that work. So my problem becomes 16. How many times does it go into? 3, 3, 6, 0. All right, let's do that real quickly. So 16 doesn't go into 3, but it does go into 33. 2 times. 2 times 16 is 32. Subtract. Leaves us with 1. Bring down the 6. 6 goes into 16 one time. Multiply. That gives us 16. That has a 0. Bring down the 0. 16 goes into 0 times. And again, my decimal point's here officially, and here it's officially. So my answer is 210. All right. So again, take a look how we had to shift the decimal point in both inside and outside. Inside, here we had to do it 2 places to get all the way to the right. So we have to shift the inside 2 places. All right, so now it's time to practice. So go ahead and pause the video and give these a shot, and then let's do the first 2 first, and then come back and check those answers, and then we'll move on to the other problems as well. All right, check your answers out and check my work and see if you did get the same things that I got, and if you didn't, check your work and see if you can figure out where your mistake is. So you may have to pause the video in order to take your time to do that. All right, let's take a look at a couple more problems. So here's a couple more. What I'd like you to do is, of course, pause the video, give these a shot, and then come back and see how you did. All right, check your answers, and if you got the same thing, great. If you did not, see if you can figure out where you made your mistake. Again, you may need to pause the video to give you a little time to look. Otherwise, we have 2 more problems I want you to check out. So work on these for a little bit and pause the video. See how these go, and when you're done, check back and see if you got the same answers as I did. All right, check these answers out and see how you did. And once again, if you got a different answer than me, see if you can figure out where you went wrong with your work. You may need to pause the video to look a little more closely. All right. So I'm going to have you actually skip this question first and then come back to it if you have time. What I need you to do now is complete the video assessment. This is a new piece I'm adding to the videos. This is what I'm using to make sure that you are getting the information from the video. So you've got a sheet of paper from me. You're going to do all your work on that paper, but the problems are going to be on the video, so you'll need to pause it to write them down. And you're going to turn that paper into me when you're done. And if there's still time left in the class, you can do the additional problems and this target problem. All right, so I'm going to skip ahead to the video assessment. Again, using the paper that I gave you. Answer these questions. You must show all your work. You must work on your own, and you can turn that in when you are done. So pause the video and work on these questions. Hand in the paper when you're done, and then you can go back and work on the additional problems that are in your packet.